Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel where we bring you the most powerful and inspiring stories of real-life legends. Stories that fill you with courage, teach you unforgettable lessons, and help you learn English naturally. Today, I am going to tell you about a boy who had his bicycle stolen. A boy who was so angry, so upset, that he wanted to find the thief and fight him. A police officer told him, "If you want to fight, you better learn how to box." That boy listened. He walked into a gym, and he never walked out the same. He became not just a boxer, but a force of nature. He became a poet, a preacher, a protester, and a prophet. He floated like a butterfly and stung like a bee. He shocked the world again and again. His name was Muhammad Ali. How did a poor black boy from the segregated American South rise to become the most famous athlete on the planet? How did he use his fists to win championships and his voice to fight for justice? How did he lose everything, his title, his money, his prime years, because he refused to fight in a war he believed was wrong, only to come back and reclaim his throne? This is a story about boxing, but it is also about belief, about sacrifice, and about the incredible power of a single human voice. And as always, this story is a wonderful way to improve your English. You will learn vocabulary about sports, politics, and civil rights. Words like heavyweight, knockout, conscientious objector, segregation, conviction, and legacy. You will hear the rhythm and the poetry of one of the greatest talkers who ever lived. So, get ready for a fight. Let us begin from the very start. He was born Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. on January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville was a city in the American South, and in the 1940s and 1950s, the South was a place of strict racial segregation. Black people and white people could not use the same schools, the same restaurants, or the same water fountains. The message was clear and cruel. If your skin was black, you were a second-class citizen. Young Cassius grew up in a small house in the West End of Louisville, a lively black neighborhood. His father, Cassius Sr., painted billboards and signs for a living. He was a proud man with a flair for drama and a gift for storytelling. His mother, Odessa, was a sweet, patient woman who worked as a domestic helper. Cassius was a happy, energetic child. He was full of talk, always chattering and joking. He had a big imagination and an even bigger mouth. But what defined him most in those early years was a deep, burning sense of pride. He could not stand to see anyone treated unfairly. The unfairness of the world weighed on him heavily. One day, his mother took him to buy a drink of water. He stood at the water fountain marked colored, looking at the one marked whites. He asked her why. The answer did not satisfy him. The seed of rebellion was planted early. The famous story of how he became a boxer is true. When Cassius was 12 years old, he saved up his money and bought a shiny new red bicycle. He loved that bike. One Saturday, he rode it to a local convention center to enjoy the free popcorn at a black merchant's event. When he came out, his bicycle was gone. Someone had stolen it. He was heartbroken and furious. He found a police officer in the basement of the building, a man named Joe Martin, who also happened to be a boxing coach. With tears in his eyes, Cassius told the officer he wanted to find the thief and beat him up. Joe Martin looked at the skinny, emotional kid and said, "Well, you better learn how to fight before you start challenging people." He invited him to the boxing gym. The next day, Cassius Clay walked into the Columbia Gym in Louisville. He put on a pair of old, smelly boxing gloves. And he found his destiny. He was not a natural. He was skinny, awkward, and wild. But he had something that could not be taught. He was fearless. He wanted to learn. He came to the gym every single day. He trained obsessively. He shadowboxed in front of the mirror, throwing punches at his own reflection. He ran to school in the morning to save bus fare, getting in his roadwork early. Even as a teenager, Cassius had an unshakable self-belief. He walked around the streets of Louisville telling anyone who would listen, "I am the greatest. I am going to be the heavyweight champion of the world." People laughed at him. They thought he was a clown, a big-mouthed kid with nothing to back it up. But Cassius did not care. He was not speaking to them. He was speaking to himself, programming his own mind for success. His amateur career was astonishing. He won fight after fight. His style was completely unique for a heavyweight. Boxers of that size were supposed to be slow, flat-footed sluggers. Cassius danced. He held his hands down by his waist, leaned back from punches, and moved with the grace of a featherweight. He was incredibly fast. His feet shuffled and glided. His left jab was a quick, stinging whip. He would predict the round he would knock out his opponents, and often, he was right. He was a showman, and the crowds loved him. In 1960, at the age of 18, Cassius Clay traveled to Rome, Italy, for the Olympic Games. He was still afraid of flying, and he almost refused to get on the plane. But he went. He fought brilliantly and won the gold medal in the light heavyweight division. Standing on the podium, watching the American flag rise, he was overcome with pride. He wore that gold medal around his neck everywhere he went, even in bed. He thought his Olympic victory would shield him from the racism of his hometown. He was wrong. A few days after returning to Louisville, he walked into a whites-only restaurant wearing his gold medal. He wanted to celebrate. The waitress refused to serve him. He said, "I'm the Olympic champion. I'm Cassius Clay." It did not matter. To them, he was still just a black man. He left the restaurant, and in a moment of deep pain and rage, he took off his gold medal and threw it off a bridge into the Ohio River. He said later that it was a symbol of a country that did not truly accept him. Now he was a professional. His mouth became louder, and his skills became sharper. He was managed by a group of wealthy white businessmen from Louisville called the Louisville Sponsoring Group. But his real brain trust, his corner men, were the legendary trainer Angelo Dundee and his assistant Drew Bundini Brown. Bundini was the man who gave him the famous phrase, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." The hands can't hit what the eyes can't see. It was the perfect description of Clay's style. He fought his way up the rankings, defeating experienced contenders like Archie Moore and Henry Cooper. He was not just a fighter, he was a 24-hour-a-day piece of performance art. He wrote loud, bragging poems about his opponents. "This is no jive, Cooper will go in 5. He crashed their press conferences, screaming, "I am the greatest. I shook up the world." The boxing establishment hated him. He was too loud, too pretty, and too arrogant. They wanted him to be humble, to know his place. Cassius refused. He represented a new, defiant kind of black man. In February 1964, at the age of 22, Cassius Clay got his shot at the heavyweight championship of the world. The champion was a terrifying man named Sonny Liston. Liston was a huge, powerful ex-convict with fists like cinder blocks and a cold, menacing stare. He was the Mike Tyson of his era. He had destroyed the previous champion, Floyd Patterson, in 2 consecutive first-round knockouts. Nobody gave Cassius a chance. The odds were 7-1 against him. The sports writers predicted a massacre. They were afraid for the loudmouthed kid. The weigh-in was chaotic. Clay rushed into the room, screaming and pretending to be insane. "I'm gonna eat you up, you big ugly bear." Liston stared at him, confused and annoyed. Many people thought Clay was genuinely terrified. The doctor checked his pulse and said it was racing over 100 beats per minute. But the madness was a calculated act of psychological warfare. He was messing with Liston's head. On fight night, February 25, 1964, in Miami Beach, the arena was electric. Liston came out like a bull, trying to end it quickly. But for the first few rounds, Clay danced. He floated. He moved laterally, making Liston lunge and miss. Liston was hitting air. In the early rounds, Clay's speed was dazzling. In the fourth round, something went wrong. His eyes began to burn. It is believed that a substance from Liston's gloves or cuts got into his eyes. He could barely see. He told Angelo Dundee, "Cut off my gloves. I can't see." Dundee pushed him back out for the fifth round, saying, "You're not quitting. Dance." And so, half-blind, Clay danced. He survived the round. By the sixth round, his vision cleared. And now he went to work. He attacked Liston with sharp, fast combinations. The bear was tired and demoralized. At the end of the sixth, Liston spat out his mouthguard and quit on his stool, claiming a shoulder injury. The stadium erupted in chaos. Cassius Clay, the 7-1 underdog, had won the heavyweight championship of the world. He ran around the ring, jumping and screaming into the cameras, "I am the greatest. I shook up the world. I am the king of the world." It was one of the most stunning upsets in sports history. The day after the fight, Cassius Clay made an announcement that would shake the world even more than his title. He declared that he was a member of the Nation of Islam, a black nationalist religious movement that was seen as radical and threatening by mainstream America. He changed his name. First, he was Cassius X, and then his spiritual leader, Elijah Muhammad, gave him the name Muhammad Ali. "Cassius Clay is my slave name," he said. "I am free. I am Muhammad Ali." The American public and the media were horrified and confused. They refused to call him by his new name. They saw the Nation of Islam as a cult of hate. Ali did not back down. His religious conversion was real and deep. He said, "I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want." Ali defended his title in a rematch against Liston in 1965. It produced the most famous photograph in boxing history. In the first round, Ali threw a quick right hand that few people saw. It was called the Phantom Punch. Liston fell to the canvas. Ali stood over him, his muscles tensed, his face full of ferocious energy, screaming, "Get up and fight, sucker." The image is iconic, a symbol of raw power and defiance. But the biggest fight of Ali's life would not take place in a boxing ring. It would take place in a courtroom and on the steps of a government building. America was at war in Vietnam. The military draft required young men to serve. In 1966, Muhammad Ali was called up for service. He applied for conscientious objector status, meaning he could not fight in a war because of his religious beliefs. He was a minister in the Nation of Islam. He said, "I ain't got no quarrel with them Viet Cong." He expanded on this, delivering a profound critique of the war and racism at home. "My conscience won't let me go shoot my brother, or some darker people, or some poor hungry people in the mud for big, powerful America." And shoot them for what? They never called me nigger. They never lynched me. They didn't put no dogs on me. The backlash was enormous. He was called a traitor, a coward, an un-American. The World Boxing Association stripped him of his heavyweight title. State boxing commissions refused to license him. He could not fight anywhere. And then, in 1967, on the day he was scheduled to be inducted into the Army, Ali walked into the induction center in Houston, Texas. When his name was called, he stood up. But when they called his name again to take the symbolic step forward that would enlist him, he refused. He stood silent. He would not take that step. He was immediately arrested and charged with draft evasion. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years in prison. He appealed his case. For over 3 years, during the prime athletic years of his life, from age 25 to almost 29, Muhammad Ali was banned from boxing. He lost his title, his income, and his public standing. He was the most hated man in America. But he did not break. He traveled the country giving speeches at college campuses, often debating angry students. He spoke about his beliefs with a sharp intelligence that surprised many who had dismissed him as just a dumb boxer. Slowly, he was becoming a symbol of resistance, a hero to the anti-war movement and the civil rights movement. He was risking his career and his freedom for a principle. And he was winning hearts. In 1970, after a long legal battle, the state of Georgia gave him a license to fight, and a coalition of businessmen staged his comeback. The time away had cost him some of his blinding speed, but his will was iron. In 1971, the Supreme Court of the United States unanimously overturned his conviction. Muhammad Ali was free. He had won. He did not go to prison. The greatest had beaten the government. Now he set his sights on reclaiming the heavyweight championship. There was a new champion, a powerful, undefeated, and fearsome man named Joe Frazier. Frazier was everything Ali was not. He was quiet, humble, and came from a poor rural background. But he felt that Ali had disrespected him, calling him an Uncle Tom and a gorilla. The build-up to their fight was full of deep personal venom. The first fight, on March 8, 1971, was billed simply as the fight of the century at Madison Square Garden. It was a brutal, magnificent war. For 15 rounds, the two undefeated heavyweights pounded each other. Frazier's relentless pressure and devastating left hook met Ali's speed and combinations. In the 15th round, Frazier landed a massive left hook that dropped Ali flat on his back. Incredibly, Ali got up immediately, his jaw swelling grotesquely. He finished the fight. But Frazier won by unanimous decision. Ali had lost for the first time. It was a bitter pill, but he accepted defeat with unusual grace. Ali did not quit. He fought his way back. He won a rematch against Frazier, a less dramatic fight. But the true test of his legend was yet to come. A new monster had appeared on the scene. A young, terrifying fighter named George Foreman. Foreman had destroyed Frazier in 2 rounds, knocking him down 6 times. He had demolished Ken Norton, who had also given Ali trouble. Foreman seemed invincible, a block of pure muscle and power. To become champion again, Ali would have to face this monster. The fight was set for October 30th, 1974, in Kinshasa, Zaire, in Africa. It was promoted by the legendary Don King as the Rumble in the Jungle. Ali wanted to bring the fight to Africa, to the motherland, as a symbol of black pride. In Zaire, he was beloved. The locals chanted Ali Bomé, which means Ali kill him. He was seen as a hero of the people, while Foreman was seen as aloof and distant. The entire world thought Ali would be seriously hurt or killed. Foreman was too strong. Ollie knew he could not dance for 15 rounds against such a puncher. So, he invented a new tactic. He called it the rope-a-dope. For round after round, Ollie leaned back against the ropes, covering his face with his gloves, and let Foreman pound away at his body and arms. He absorbed tremendous punishment. Meanwhile, he taunted Foreman in the clinches. "Is that all you got, George? That's all you got? They told me you could punch." Foreman grew angrier and more exhausted. He punched himself out. In the 8th round, with Foreman completely spent, Ollie came off the ropes. He unleashed a sharp, rapid combination. A right hand, a left hook, another right. Foreman staggered, spun around, and crashed to the canvas. The referee counted him out. Muhammad Ali, at the age of 32, had knocked out the unbeatable George Foreman and reclaimed the heavyweight championship of the world. It was the most brilliant tactical victory in boxing history. He had shocked the world again. He had proven that brains could defeat brawn. The following year, Ali fought Joe Frazier for the 3rd and final time. The fight was held in the brutal heat of the Philippines in the morning in Manila. It is known simply as the Thrilla in Manila. It was not a boxing match, it was a spiritual battle. For 14 rounds, two old warriors threw everything they had at each other. The heat was suffocating. The punches were thrown with incredible ferocity. Both men were exhausted beyond comprehension. Ali's hands were battered. Frazier's eyes were swollen shut. Before the final round, Frazier's trainer, the great Eddie Futch, stopped the fight. He told his man, "Sit down, son. It's all over. No one will forget what you did here today." Ali had won, but he later said it was the closest thing to dying he had ever known. He said of Frazier, "He is the greatest fighter of all time, next to me." Ali defended his title a few more times, but his skills were fading. In 1978, he lost the title to a young Olympic champion named Leon Spinks, but he came back and won it back in a rematch, becoming the first man to win the heavyweight championship 3 times. He retired, then unwisely returned for 2 tragic fights against his former sparring partner Larry Holmes and Trevor Berbick. He lost badly. By 1981, he retired for good. Ali's post-boxing life was a new kind of fight. In 1984, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's syndrome, a neurological disorder that slowly robbed him of his speech and his movement. The beautiful dancer was now trapped in a body that trembled. But his spirit was unshakable. He traveled the world as a humanitarian, an ambassador for peace. He helped negotiate the release of American hostages in Iraq. He carried the torch at the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta, his hands trembling violently, lighting the cauldron as the world wept. The loudest mouth in history became a silent, powerful symbol of grace. He signed autographs for hours, often performing magic tricks for children. He showed that, even in physical decline, you can radiate love and light. Muhammad Ali passed away on June 3, 2016, at the age of 74. His funeral in Louisville was a global event, attended by presidents and kings, imams and rabbis, athletes and actors. He had planned it himself, wanting it to be a teaching moment, a celebration of unity. Now, what can we learn from the incredible life of Muhammad Ali? First, self-belief is the foundation of all great achievements. Before anyone else believed in him, Ali believed in himself. He told the world he was the greatest, not out of arrogance, but as a form of mental programming. He convinced himself, and then he convinced the world. You must believe you can learn English, you can achieve your dreams, even when the odds are against you. Say it to yourself. I am the greatest. It will change your posture, your effort, and your results. Second, stand up for your principles, even if it costs you everything. Ali lost his title, his income, and his freedom because he refused to violate his conscience. He said, "I have always done what I believed was right. I never changed my principles." It is easy to compromise when the pressure is on. But the people who change the world are the ones who cannot be bought, who cannot be intimidated. Be a person of deep conviction. If you believe something, have the courage to stand by it. Third, creativity and intelligence can defeat brute force. Ali could not beat Foreman with strength. He used his brain. He invented the rope-a-dope. He was a student of his craft. You do not need to be the strongest or the smartest by birth to succeed. You need to be the most creative and the most adaptable. Find your own unique way to learn English, a method that fits your strengths. Fourth, reinvent yourself when necessary. The dancing Ali of the 60s became the rope-a-dope Ali of the 70s. He adapted as his body changed. The boxing Ali became the humanitarian Ali, the silent ambassador. He did not cling to one identity. Life is about evolution. Your English learning will evolve. You will hit plateaus. Change your strategy. Reinvent your approach. Never stop growing. Fifth, forgive and seek unity. For all his fighting, Ali was a man of peace. He eventually made peace with Joe Frazier, his greatest rival. He used his fame to bring people together. He said, "Hating people because of their color is wrong. And it doesn't matter which color does the hating. It's just wrong. In a divided world, be a bridge. Use your new language to connect, not to divide." And finally, don't count the days. Make the days count. Ali did not waste his life. He said, "I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want." He lived a life of purpose and passion. You are investing your time in learning English. This is you making your days count. You are building a bridge to a bigger life. Keep fighting the good fight. Muhammad Ali's most famous poem was simple, me. We. It was the shortest poem he ever wrote, but it contained a universe of meaning. He explained it. It's about how we are all connected. It's about taking care of one another. So, take care of one another. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And never, ever let the world tell you who you are. Thank you for listening to this story. If it lit a fire in your soul, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who needs to find their inner champion. And let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Muhammad Ali quote and why? I read every comment. Until next time, keep your hands up, keep your heart open, and always fight for what you believe. Bye for now.